Music producers, it's CURTIQUE at CurtisKingBeats.com, and you're watching another episode of Critique My Beats. This is the show where you submit your beats for constructive feedback meant to build up your empire and not burn your building down. What does that mean, Curtis? What that means is that you'll never hear critiques like, oh, your beats are trash. Trash is due Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you need to take out your beats with it. Get a USB and just throw it out. You'll never hear me say things like that. I'll never call your drums titties. I promise that. With that said, if you would like to be on a future episode of Critique My Beats, you know what to do. Go visit CurtiqueMyBeats.com. Go ahead and see the 3-tier system that we have set up based upon your needs. If you want to go ahead and get the whole thing and the whole shebang, get yourself some drum kits along with the critiquing of 2 beats. There's another package for that as well. But we're not going to waste any time. We're going to actually get straight to the first critique, which is for a producer named I Am Legend. I believe that's what it is. He says, hey, Curtis, I go by the name of Legend. Okay, just Legend. I've been a fan of yours for about a year now. I have been making beats for a few years. Used to make them during film class and media class, and after I got my first job, I bought my first equipment. I knew what that felt like when I worked at Quiznos. Good feeling. I always did it as kind of a hobby, but as of last month, I decided to chase it as a career, and I just recently started uploading beats to my YouTube, titled I_am_legend. Let me know what you think, and for everyone listening, I would appreciate it if you guys would go check out my channel. God bless. Well, if you want to go check out your channel, come leave a comment. I'll leave it definitely open for you to leave your links. I'll go ahead and approve it and make sure they can see that. But you left us with 2 beats in your YouTube URL. Let's listen to the first beat, which is a Little Skies type beat called Heartbreaker. Oh man, beautiful little harmony there called Heartbreaker. It's a Little Skies type beat. Now, I'm not familiar with Little Skies music like that, so I gotta kind of be brought up to speed. You guys let me know if you think it sounds like that, but from what I'm understanding, I believe Little Skies kind of makes this emotional type trap music from what I understand. And yeah, I'm gonna just leave it at that. But as I'm listening to it, I enjoyed the sounds of it. There was a few things that stood out to me that were awesome, and a few things that stood out to me that they could use some work. So the first thing I want to say is that the percussion in the background of this, I like how it all played together in great percussive harmony. Everything just went together. The percussion in the background was busy, it was active, it kept your interest. Also too, the melodic switch ups was really interesting, especially that next part, which I believe was going either from a chorus to a verse. I think that was amazing because that keeps your listener interested in what's going on. And I think that that's what people are looking for when they're searching to buy beats, when they're trying to get placement. They want to see how many rides are you going to take this particular beat on before I know what the feeling of this is, the emotion of this particular beat. Now, my only critiques of this is that there was a sound effect that hit right on top of the kick that was just way too harsh, and I think that it would probably need some reverb to kind of space it out, pull back a little bit of that velocity on it. A lot of the volume needs to be pulled back and kind of ducked underneath it. I think it could be a weird but interesting effect to add, but I think right now it's just way too harsh over the top. The kick itself, I would have liked to hear more thump out of it. I feel like the kick especially because you started off with just the 808. I think our brains are wired because of the music of today to expect a kick that's going to drive momentum when everything starts coming in, and that kick just wasn't a seller for me. It wasn't powerful enough to wait as long as we did with the 808. And then the last critique that I have is I would have loved to hear a little bit more sound design. I would have liked to see you take out certain drums. I would have liked to see you oddball and change up certain things so that we don't know what to expect every single loop. But that was the first beat. Let's listen to the second beat, which is called Half a Pill, which is a little Uzi Vert, EXO Tour Life type beat. Okay, so that was Half a Pill. I don't think that's my favorite of the two. I think Heartbreaker is still my favorite of these two. And let me tell you why. This one right here, although the arrangement, although the type of instruments that you use may very well make this a little Uzi Vert type beat, I think that the way that you mix them makes them hard to enjoy from a listener's standpoint. As I'm listening to this, I noticed the first thing I noticed is the Rhodes, and I feel like the Rhodes are way too harsh. Those definitely could use some reverb. Those definitely need some kind of filter to take away from the harshness of the mid to low, because it's actually being conflicted when the 808s come in, which is something else. The 808s, I feel like although you feel a little bit of that bass, there's not enough sub in that one. And I think when you're relying on that to sort of provide a different swing in your beat, you need that 808 on there. I think the hi-hat work was cool. The snare itself was a bit dry. I think I would have loved to hear a little bit more of effects on top of that, just to give it a little bit more flavor. Maybe layer it with something else would have been interesting. There was a sort of winding synth sound that went back and forth that after a little bit, it was cool, but then after about a minute of that, it was too much. It just became very monotonous, and it becomes something to where people are like, okay, play me the next song. When people have been listening, especially rappers have been listening to beats for the last hour, the last thing they want to do is hear a beat that kind of repeats itself. The first one showed so much great potential, and I think this one is really a good mixing away. It's a good sound design treatment away from really being a record that I think could sell well for you, or even something that you could use in TV sync licensing or for getting placements. But those were your two beats. YouTube is I_am_legend. Just want to say thank you, man. Your Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is Legendary Beats Music. I appreciate you. Let's go to the next producer. Next producer, his name is Malcolm Heavy. Name's Malcolm Heavy. I'm a producer from the Phoenix, currently in Chicago, okay? I have been making music for 6 years, dabbled in hip hop for a little bit in the beginning. I started with EDM and started to get into beat making 4 years ago and fell in love with it. Not sure how to get my work out there, and if you think my stuff has a place in the modern hip hop scene. I make all kinds of hip hop beats, trap, club beats, lo-fi, all kinds of stuff. I really love dark, super heavy stuff. I would love some feedback on what I make. I try to stay away from samples, but sometimes I hear something I really vibe with and want to sample. Anyways, enough about me. Here's your SoundCloud and the two beats. First one's called I See You.
Damn, son.
Well, damn, Malcolm Heavy, that's how you feel? Oh my God. So let me say this. If you came from an EDM background, I'm pretty sure that you're used to having more complex arrangements. I'm sure that you're probably used to having to deal with buildups and deal with really the sound design tediousness that is EDM. That being said, although I think this is an absolute banger, the one thing I would have wished you did is take more of those EDM elements that you have learned, I'm sure that you have been used to, and brought them into this. Because although this beat is a banger, although the 808s, the kicks, the snares, everything is mixed superbly, that melody becomes so monotonous after a while, and it sounds like somebody who's capable of doing more, sort of like, I don't want to say dumbing down, but making it more simplistic so that it's more palatable for the listener. And I don't think you need to do that. I think you need to show us what you're working with on this particular beat. I think you need to show us how much flexibility you have because of the past that you've had in EDM. The damn Vox and a few of the screaming Vox were a bit too loud, but I mean, those are easy cosmetic fixes. But man, I'm excited to hear the next beat that you gave us, because that was, oh, that was nasty. So next one's called Scissor. Oh, I hate to stop that right when the buildup comes in, but I had to do it. So this one was called Scissor, and once again, I think I have pretty much the same critique on this one as the last one. This is another banger. You don't have an issue with your mixing. You don't have an issue with making your drums feel present. You don't have an issue with picking the right type of dark melodic lines or the dope melodic keys that you're picking. You don't have an issue choosing those. I think right now, there just needs to be as much energy and attention as you give your drums, as you gave the buildup on this one, you should give that to your melody too. I think that variation, I think that even taking the melody line through some sound design, just so we don't get so used and stuck to the same loop after 2 or 3 minutes, because I guarantee you a rapper that's more established or has a lot of great executive producers on their project is going to switch this beat up at some point, probably make the drums go to a halftime, probably make the melody go to a halftime, just doing something that's going to make it feel like it's not the same beat all throughout. Because although this is fire and this is a really dope beat, you don't want to have this going on for that long without some kind of variation of pad. Maybe another synthesizer that you could have put in there to kind of go complement that sound. But right now, it just sounds like so much energy is being put on the drums and not enough on the melody. But either way, I think that those are bangers to me. So you left us with your SoundCloud, which is soundcloud.com/Malcolm-Heavy. Thank you for sharing it. Let's go to the next producer. Simic Beats. First of all, thank you for all the videos you shared with us, tutorials, mindsets. To us as a producer, it means everything. Right now, I'm struggling with my regular job. I hate every second I spend there, and I spend like 10 hours a day. So I'm often tired, and I have so much little time to do anything. However, I'm looking at it like something that is meant to be, because without that, I wouldn't have no money to invest in my equipment, plugins, marketing. You better talk about it, man. Good job for you, man. But I'm done, and all I want to do is make music and quit that stupid job. So I'm sending you a beat that I believe is worth listening. I can't wait to hear your feedback on this. I'll listen to your advices, and probably will get back on Critique My Beats with 2 beat pass in a month or 2. Super dope, man. So you left us with a beat that is a Drake type of beat.
Simic beat. Simic beat.
Okay, that was a dope beat. I like that. You definitely have a great control over your drums and your 808s. I could tell by the way that those 808s stop and start. You don't just let them just kind of like take over your entire pattern and mix. I think that's important, especially when listeners are listening. There's things they can pick up instinctually that let them know, like, yo, this is somebody who's been making beats for a minute. This is somebody who knows what they're doing. I like the percussion, the extra percussion that I heard pan to the right was dope. I feel like that's something else that adds to people understanding that you are a veteran in what you are doing, or at least very skilled in what you are doing. Everything was mixed really nicely. The only thing I would say is that that chorus didn't really pay off with that extra instrument. I think that the actual melody line you played was dope, but I think I would have preferred to hear maybe like another type of synth instrument. I don't think I would have landed on that particular one. That one's a bit of an ear sore, especially because that's so important. This part is so important for the overall song. To me, when rappers are looking for beats for possible placement, they're thinking about that hook. The hook is the most important part. Anybody can get a nice loop going. Anybody can get some dope banging drums on the loop. But if that chorus does not have something special that will make a singer be inspired to write a hit song, or a rapper to write a hit song, you might as well just call that beat done. So I think for the chorus, that sound at I would have liked to see that more so at the end of the instrumental, right? So then it's another variation that maybe you can save it, mute it, add another melody line on top of this, maybe a pad, maybe something like that deep sort of Drake, Bryson Tiller gliding bass synthesizer sound. That would have been interesting to hear on the chorus here instead of that particular sound, and then maybe towards the end of it have that that would have been interesting to hear as a particular on that. Okay, so you left us with that beat, Simic Beats. Let's go to the next producer. I believe your name is Tolga. Hi, man. Decided to have my beats critiqued. I'm a producer from Belgium. Whoa, all the way from Belgium. And makes beats for local rappers. Never tried branching out online. Just been producing and selling beats in my city and cities near me. Been through a great journey with music. I'm hoping to have a placement in a movie, soundtrack, or video game with these 2 instrumentals I'm about to send. They are traditional folk music, trap hybrid. Trap and folk music together? We in for a treat. with a cinematic vibe. The first one is a Japanese trap beat. The other one is a Mongolian trap beat. So let's listen to the first one, which is a Japanese trap beat. That might have been one of the most purely unique cinematic trap sound designs that we've heard it on any episode. This is something I definitely can see like in a fight scene or in a training fight scene of one tribe versus another one that kind of has like one of these more modern directors, like a Quentin Tarantino type of film where, you know, kind of like a new Kill Bill, maybe I can see this playing in the background. So this is definitely cinematic. I would say the only thing for me that I really would critique, because the sound design is amazing on this one. Like everything that you're putting into this, even the arrangement is superb. But the 808 just doesn't carry enough presence. As I'm listening to this, I'm like, this is a banger. But that 808, if I had this beat in front of me, I would definitely spend more time on the 808 and trying to figure out how can I widen the sound of it so that it gives warmth so when that drop comes in. Because right now there's not a whole lot of warmth to that sound. But the drum work, the flutes, all that stuff sounds amazing. I'm not sure if any of that is loops or you're playing that original, but however it is, it sounds really great as a combination of sounds. So that was the first one. Let's listen to the second one, which is called Mongolian Trap Beat. That's another fire sound design by my friend from Belgium. Wow, that is actually very amazing sound design wise. I'm listening to this, that's really the first thing that I focus on, is seeing where you're gonna take me next. I think you have a skill for taking the transitions and making them make sense. No matter how abstract they are, no matter how random they are, you have a skill for figuring out how to make these sounds make sense. I feel like it's something that I've heard, but never heard it this way. I feel like I still have the same critique that I had from the last one, is that the presence of your 808 is just not, it's not paying off what you're giving us with all this buildup. All this buildup you're giving, we're expecting something, we're expecting an 808 that's just gonna blow our mind, something that's gonna fill up even our listening space. And as I'm listening to an 808 that really fills it up, like a few beats ago, you wanna have that 808 sitting right here. You wanna have it just feel like it's just wrapping you in a bear hug. But right now, it just feels like it's just another instrument. It doesn't feel like anything is special about it. And when you're talking about categorizing your beats as trap drums, the 808 is something that if you gotta take an extra hour just to mix that, if you gotta come back the next day just to mix that, that's worth it. I think I would have liked to hear some more 808 variations, especially because you put so much focus on the sound design of the percussion. It almost is begging you to take some time with the 808s and do some things that we haven't heard before sound design wise in this particular style. But man, oh my, you definitely have a future in placements in movies and soundtrack and video games. Somebody I think that you should definitely listen to is Jon Bellion. I think if you pay attention to the way he mixes his cinematic beats, it'll give you a whole nother perspective on how to approach this, because just because it's cinematic and it's focused on sound design does not mean it's not going to bang or it doesn't need to bang. Okay, well, thank you for submitting that. Thank you for being a part of this episode. Producers, that was the last producer of the day. So thank you once again for watching another episode of Critique My Beats. You already know what to do. If you want to be a part of a future episode, producers, go to critiquemybeats.com. Check out the 3 tiers that we have available. One of them might be the best case scenario for you. You want to get 1 beat critique? Cool, we got a thing for that too. You want to get 2? We got that. If you want to get 2 and then get some drum kits, we got that too. Man, we just got you covered. That's just how we do here at Curtis King, CurtisKingBeats.com. But once again, I always appreciate you watching. I know some of you, this series had to grow on you. Some of you were like, oh, I thought it was boring at first, but now I kind of like it. It's all right. Sometimes it happens. But once again, this is Curtis King at CurtisKingBeats.com. Peace. Please subscribe to the channel below, Curtis King at CurtisKingBeats.com.